Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Plan Tracker Community Facebook Live. My name is Sarah. I'm Community Engagement Manager here at Plan Tracker, and I'm so pleased to be joining you this morning for this really important conversation, which focuses on the life goals of carers and those individuals that are, reaching a phase of their life where they'd like to contemplate what kind of personal goals and achievements they'd like to see in the next chapter of their life. Which brings us to our special guests from Your Caring Way, an organisation based in Queensland. But first, before we hand over to our special guests, let me just acknowledge my beautiful colleague, Nicole, here, who's joined us today. This is the first time that we've managed to jump onto an event together.
That's right,
digitally, yeah. So welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to my neck of the woods, I guess you'd say. And I hope it's the first of many more that you and I can share. Yeah, because I know we're very like-minded in this community space. But Nicole, there's many of the Facebook community that may not have seen you before or met you before. So I just thought, what's one really important thing you want to share as getting to know you in this community space? And yeah, what kind of drives you, what's your why for working in this community?
Wow, what a good question. I think, look, for me, I could talk all day about that. I think my why for working in this industry is it's just something I'm naturally passionate about. There's just, it's an industry that's always going to need people who love it. And, people don't work in this industry for the money, and they don't work in this industry for the status. It is definitely a heart and soul thing in this industry, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So true. I so agree with you. So, well, thank you for joining us, and I look forward to this conversation. Yeah, and I know that you were the one that introduced me and connected me to Your Caring Way, which I want to thank you for that. It's been a great learning curve for me to sort of understand a bit more about vocational programs and things like that. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into intros for Rod and Charnea from Your Caring Way. A big welcome to both of you. I'm going to start with you, Rod, and just ask a little bit about what brought you to today's discussion to join us here to talk about your program.
Well, we have a program that's called Your Caring Way. It's a vocational program for carers, and we've kicked some pretty good goals so far. It's a pilot program. It runs until the middle of next year. So we still have some scope, and we've still got some opportunities for carers out there to come and join the program. And we know the great work that you guys do, and we thought, well, we'll piggyback on the back of all the fantastic achievements that you managed to do over for carers and for family units in general. And we thought, well, we'll as I say, piggyback on that and spread the word and tell a few people out there just what we're at, how we're going about things, where we are at the moment, and see if we can resonate with a few of them who want to come and join the program.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can certainly attest to myself and my own journey of raising my children and receiving supports as a carer and also disability supports. It's certainly that idea of word of mouth, isn't it? You don't always find everything by Googling. It's really about joining these community conversations, and it spreads the word. And before you know it, you are able to reach the people that, are really most impacted, I guess, by your work. Charnea, handing over to you. Would you like to just say hello to our audience and a little bit of an intro about what brought you here today?
Excellent. Good morning, everybody. I, for the last few years, have been working in the disability employment services sector.
Okay.
So it's something that I'm very passionate about. And this particular program, I now get to see in reverse almost. So I have a lot to do with the people who are on our program that have a disability. And now I get to also be involved with the carers who in most part were looking after my clients who had the disability. So it's been good to be able to share knowledge and be able to see it from the other side, and now make sure they're involved in a community project like this as well. So it's been really exciting space to work in, and the program's fabulous. So it's really something worthwhile talking about and sharing the good news. So it's been great.
That's wonderful.
That's the magical thing about it, isn't it, too? Because when I first, met with the these guys, one of the things that really jumped out at me was that, you know, there was so much on offer there that people just don't know about. And people are so busy. People are so in that mindset of, I just need to sort my family out and I need to make sure, you know, all of these things are in place. And then they keep putting all of that stuff on the back burner, all of the important stuff. And then so, yeah, absolutely. It's nice that you get to see the cycle of all of these people have all the support they need. But then what about the carer at the end of the day? What about their dreams and goals and things like that too? So,
yeah. I think it's really important, and I know that we discussed this in last week in our meeting, is to really clarify, I want to clarify two definitions before we jump into the details of the program. I want to clarify two definitions so that our audience is super clear about who we're talking about. So the first one is carer. So who do we mean when we're talking about carers?
Okay, the carer is someone who, it's a difficult definition, but at the same time it's pretty plain and clear, you know. So in our program, we're reaching out to unpaid carers. So someone that's looking after a loved one. And they are impacted socially or economically by delivering those caring duties. So they need to reach out perhaps and look at their own vocational needs, career path, and they may be in a position to do that right now, or they may be in a position to start on the journey to be ready to go in 6 months or 12 months' time.
Yeah, okay. Which brings me to the next definition. If those of our audience who haven't heard the word vocational, I just wanted you to, I know that we're going to go through some of those details, but can you just give us right at the top a brief definition of vocational program?
Well, I guess it's basically what's your career path. Do you have a career path at the moment? It might involve straight to employment. It might involve some training or further education. It might be that you need some assistance in getting yourself ready to make the next step. So the vocational plans and the vocational coaches that we have been working in this program, their goal is to assist you to both define and then to reach your goals.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay, great. All right, thank you for because I think it's really important. There are lots of different carer programs or services or out there in the community, isn't it? So I thought it's really important to sort of focus for today's discussion the specifics around a vocational program. And it really focuses, as you say, on that career path idea, isn't it? And the goals towards employment. Okay, so guys, let me see if I can share across to our presentation. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can see that? Brilliant. Wonderful. Okay, tech has not failed me yet. All right. So let's jump into, I guess it's defined as, there's three main steps, isn't there, in the program? So we've already touched on, let's see if I can click across. We've already touched on your organisation, and it's focused on a vocational coaching program, as it says there. So let's jump into step one. So Rod, are you going to lead us on these why it's called Plan, Grow, Achieve?
No, I'm going to hand this over to my extremely learned colleague, Charnea.
Oh, Charnea, awesome. Okay, all right.
Yes, so there is three major milestones within the program. They are all individually assessed at the beginning. So it really is an individual plan throughout. So we have these three milestones that can take for as long as you need to achieve them all. So it is all individualized. So once a carer is in our program, our vocational coaches will make a plan with that carer. And that will basically give us an idea where they're at, what supports they may need, assess abilities and barriers, and it will let us know exactly where they're at within their journey and see what our sort of next steps are going to be from there. So once the plan is in place, then that will sort of set the precedent of how the program will run for that individual.
That's so good. And so that's where the coaching component comes in. If someone says, oh, look, it's been years since I've worked you know, I know I want to do it. I know that I'm slightly interested in this. That's where a lot of the coaching comes in, is it? To sort of say, let's have a look at what might really suit you.
Yeah, well, the coaching comes throughout, so we have touch points with our carers for the entire program. However, this initial stage of the program will sort of determine how much of that they will need throughout.
Awesome.
It is sort of an ongoing thing throughout, but that plan stage it opens up the conversation to the carer and our vocational coaches to see exactly what's going to suit that carer. That's and then
great.
So yeah.
So from a really practical sense, if people are joining us and they think, oh, well, I had qualifications, I did formal training, I had a career, and then my life circumstances changed because I stepped into that caring role for a family member, an individual. So I do have this career that, you know, that I used to attend or I used to have, but I'm not quite sure I can get back there. Can your program, I guess, assist that individual to make that decision?
Oh, 100%. And like I said, it's individualised. So if you were in a career and you took a step back to do a caring responsibility and you would like assistance to get back to where you were, then fabulous. Those are the kind of things that we most certainly can help with. Again, if you think that you might like a completely different career objective after you've had this journey, then that's something that we can work on together as well. So yep, it really depends on the person. And like I said, being that we have that freedom of movement, I suppose, throughout, it really is a plan that is run purely for the carer's needs.
Fantastic.
So they most certainly can assist in any aspects to do exactly what they would like to do. The goal at the end is the goal. So
yeah, that's really good. And I think, you know, in my own situation, it's certainly, I decided to use my lived experience and I discovered a passion for community development and family leadership. And so it was vastly different from my employment and career paths prior to having my children and becoming a carer. But I noticed that that's not everyone's path, isn't it? And it's so individual. And I love that approach, is really working with the individual person to identify where they'd like to go with this. Yeah. All right.
Of course.
I just want to add one little thing, and that is that there are a number of coaching sessions that the carer goes through when they engage in the program. And first and foremost, you take a snapshot of where you're at. You know, so it might be that I'm in a position to start thinking about employment. I'm in a position to start thinking about a change in my path or my journey. You know, so we take a very serious assessment from the outset, so that we don't pigeonhole anybody. You know, this Charnea points out, it's very much an individual plan. It's what you guys want to do, you're the carer. It's what your plans are. And at first meeting, you might not have a plan. That's great, you know, because it's almost like working with a blank canvas. You know, you can just
I like that. Yeah.
Go with the flow, you know. So it's an assessment not just on what you think you might like to do or where you have been in the past. It's what options are available to me and how can I explore those. So we do a needs assessment from the beginning. These coaches, they are so skilled and so talented. They do a needs assessment from the beginning, but also a basic skills assessment. And from that, the carer often goes away and has a bit of a think about, all right, that was good to have that chat. Now I think I'll consider following this path. And then they come back to the coach and say, this is what I've thought about overnight. Can you assist me? Not guide me, but assist
me. Yeah.
I
love that. Yeah, isn't it great?
Too. I love that.
I'm sure that, sorry, you go.
One of the biggest things that we seem to hear too, that carers, or, you know, we chat to carers every day, you know, throughout the days. And one of the things that they say is, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start, you know, and what an embarrassing call for them. A lot of people feel, and we've all gone through stages like that in our lives where you're embarrassed about not having that direction yourself. So this is great, because that is such a real thing, is I don't know where to start. I don't know what skills I have. I don't even know what I want to do. I'm just, it's like a blank canvas. And I love the positive spin to that, because it's all about opportunity there. You could do whatever you wanted to do. That's the cool part. Yeah.
And would it be true that there's a lot of skills that carers have that they haven't yet recognised, and this process of starting with step one actually helps them identify that and uncover skills that they already hold, and they haven't recognised it?
I often talk to carers who say, oh, no, I don't have the skills necessary for this job. And I said, you were a time management superhero and a negotiator, and, you know, your ability to communicate is fabulous. So there's a lot of skills that that carers don't think that they hold, that they most certainly do.
That's so true. I remember, you know, one of my first CEOs had said to me once, you know, if mothers just changed the language of the skills for motherhood or parenthood, any parent really, onto their resume, you'd be amazed at what you saw. You know, you'd be amazed at project management, time management, and all of the things that come with just running a family and leading a family, like Sarah was saying. All of those skills are all of the skills that you would transfer into jobs. It's amazing.
Or hey, what about going through the NDIS process? advocating for your loved one, going to review meetings. You know, that in itself is should be a university certificate. Yeah. All right. Should we move on to step 2 then, guys?
Yes.
Grow. Yeah. All right, Charnea. Yep.
Excellent. So once that plan is in place, and again, it's not something that needs to stay in place in stone. There can be sort of growth and movement throughout. But once that plan is in place, we move on to the grow portion of the program. So this is the area where the carer can engage in soft skills training, work readiness training, resume writing skills, managing stress, anxiety, problem solving with employers. So there's a lot of soft skills training that can happen within this space, just to give them the best opportunity to be growing, as it suggests, in that space, to make them feel the most comfortable that they're going to be going into the next stage of our program. So yeah, once that plan is in place, it just makes sure that everything that was planned is being is happening throughout. So this is where the coaching sessions take place. So you can have as little as 1 coaching session, or there is up to 5 coaching sessions that can happen. And then inside of those sessions, it will give the coach an idea of how you're progressing and anything else that may be needed to make sure that you're in that best position going on into the next stage of the program. So it's a really important stage, and it's a stage that the carers that come to me at the end of the program say, this is my best stage. This is the stage where I felt really connected to my coach, and it sort of opened me up to say, hey, I actually do have a lot more to offer than what I thought I may have at the beginning of the program. So this is the warm and fuzzy bit, I suppose.
I like that, because it's got that very, you know, people want personal trainers to get fit, don't they? To have that touch point and that drive along that pathway. And so this looks very similar in that vocational way, to have someone that's constantly touching base with you to keep you on track with where you want to be. It's
exactly.
So good.
Yeah, exactly. We're nicer than personal trainers, though, I must say.
Yes, I don't have one, as we can all see, but this would be close to it.
Yeah.
No yelling.
Before we move on to step 3, achieve, I just want to loop back, Charnea, and ask you to define soft skills training, because some of our audience who are watching with us may not necessarily know what that means, depending on their previous experience. So can you just break it down and give us a couple of examples, perhaps, maybe?
Yeah, so soft skills can be as little as opening up Microsoft Word and making yourself a resume, or using language that might represent to the roles that you would like to go into, setting out a cover letter or a resume, dependent on the kind of role that you're looking for. Soft skills, a lot of our carers like the negotiating with employers section of this grow, because the carer may have some responsibilities still throughout the week, and there may have to be that negotiation chats with employers to do role shares or start finish. There's a lot of confidence building exercises that go along in this section, so that the carers are comfortable to have those conversations with employers going forward. So
yeah.
A very simple, straightforward example, so that you can see the practicality of it, is that in many instances, when carers have been in their role for 10 years or more, they haven't looked at the job market. They don't know how to actually search for a job at all. And in fact, a tip that I'll share with you right now is, I don't know whether many people realise that on Seek now, for many positions, there is a drop-down box which says work from home. So it used to be all geographical or suburbs, or breaking down to local, within 10 kilometres or something. Now there's actually a drop box that says work from home. So I'd be fairly confident that there's a lot of people out there that didn't know that existed.
And how good is that because there's already that anxiety about entering a workplace, knowing that you can even filter down on those options. Because you're right, it used to just be part-time, full-time, salary range and all the key stuff. But that's great. Yeah, it's those sorts of things that give you a bit of peace of mind, hey? And
it gives you some focus, gives you somewhere to start. That's what a lot of this is about. There's people that have been, as I say, they've been carers for a long time, and now all of a sudden they've decided, well, I think it's about time I spend a bit of time thinking about me. Where do I start? And there's one hint for you.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, it's such a practical approach to it, and I think that's really nice, isn't it? Really nice. All right, are we ready to move on then?
Yes. That's it.
Achieve.
Yep. So this is the party station. At the end, ring the big bell in the office and say, woo.
Yeah.
So once we have gone through the program with the carers, this is the Achieve slides. It's obviously enough in the wording, but this is where Caring Way can offer training and studying opportunities if that was the path and the grow that they wanted to go into. So we have our own RTO here. So we do offer courses. Depending on the carer's circumstances, they can be subsidised, or there may be a little bit of a fee that we need to, like a gap fee, I suppose, depending on what they've done previously. We also do work placement and volunteering. So we have great little black book of employers that are looking for carers, because they come with a lot of the skills and
that's great.
They would like going forward into the volunteering. And volunteering especially, it can be a lead way into employment, because it gets the carer out into the workforce without possibly having the pressure of going into paid employment after the caring responsibilities that they've had previously. So and we have great carer friendly employees and volunteering opportunities, so that can be an option at the end of the plan, and then paid employment as well. So again, that's where myself and Rod come into the picture. So we're business development managers in the program. So my role is to go out and let everybody know how fabulous our carers are when they're in the space to look for paid employment, and do the negotiating with the employers to make sure that they are carer friendly, and it works as much for the carer as it does for the employee to get longevity out of that employment placement. And then we also in the paid employment sector, we have post-placement support. So that's sort of the cherry on the top, to make sure that the carer is still enjoying, is still feeling valued, is feeling supported, and enjoying their time in that space. And if there are any things that we can assist with to make sure that that still is happening, then we do that as well. So there's by no means, once you have been placed into employment, it's see you later, alligator. It's stuck with us whether you like it or not. We're there to help, to make sure that we're progressing along, and making sure that they're staying in where they want to be. So, So those are our three major milestones.
Three major, yeah. You touched on something interesting during just that point. I want to loop back to, if that's okay. You said, and we also work with employers to ensure they're carer friendly. And so then it sort of sparked to me, so you are supporting the individual carer through this 3-step process, but are you also working in the community, in the sector, trying to assist employers also to make that connection as well? Or what happens over there? I'm just a little bit curious.
Yeah, so when we talk about carer-friendly working environments, that basically our role is to, if a carer comes to us with a role that they would like to apply for, or we have found a role that may suit, we have the opportunity to make contact with that employer and run through where the carer is at in terms of what they're able to give to that employer. And of course, we do have carer-friendly employers that we know prior to all of this that we may be able to suggest as a good fit for that carer as well. So we make sure that it's going to work on both ends for sure.
Yeah,
because that can deter a lot of people from going down that path, can't it? To sort of say, well, look, who's going to want to hire someone who's been a mum for 2.5, 3 days a week, and so that can deter you from even trying. So if your part of this program is to facilitate that conversation and to set up that environment, then that's fantastic, and that's not something that you're going to get with a recruitment company or with any other sort of RTO that says, there you go, you're on your own. I like that.
It's important that we have the conversation wherever we possibly can with the employer, because Nick, you mentioned before the word about around language that we use. Now, there'll be a lot of carers out there right now that are listening to this, or they're considering a change or considering a career path. They often use the word barriers. They say, my barrier to entry is this, and my barrier about getting a job is that. We don't call them barriers, we call them considerations. So
I like that.
Yeah.
When you talk to an employer and you're saying, hey, listen, Rod needs a job and Rod can do this, but just bear in mind that Rod's also caring for his daughter or his mother or his sister or his aunt or whatever it might be. So Rod's employment here may not be the highest priority for him. So a consideration is that he may have to, with the drop of a hat, go and pick up someone from school or to go and attend an appointment, that he can't change for a physio or a urologist or whatever the case may be. So that's the consideration. All right. So it's not a barrier anymore, because you've had the conversation with the employer and the employer's on board. You say, okay, fair enough. I'll weigh that up against the fact that Rod comes with a multitude of skills.
Absolutely.
That he's done his caring role and past experiences or whatever. I'll be okay with that. So that's the conversation that we try and have as regularly as we possibly can. To pick up on Charnea's point, we don't stop it when the person's employed. So we go back to the carer and say, is this working out for you? Is this what we discussed? Is everything still on track? And if things go a bit skewy for whatever reason, we go back to the employer and we say, hey, remember, we had these considerations. Just wanted to remind you, is there something we can do? And they might come back to a bit of flexibility in the hours that are worked, a bit of flexibility and maybe doing a bit of work from home. Weekend work, because often with someone who's in a caring role, if the partner is out working or if someone else is out working, weekends are free. So is there any chance that I can take on some of these duties over the weekend? So that's what we do. We negotiate, we discuss, we're open-minded about it, and we hope that we find that they're open-minded as well. And the other thing,
too, because now might be the time to do this. I mean, now is the time. I mean, silver linings, right, with COVID and everything. And, the silver linings there is that workplaces have already started to adopt more of that that family-friendly approach. They've had to, and they saw that productivity not only continued but soared in some cases because people were really able to juggle that more. So this might be the time to shout out to carers to say, if that was a barrier for you in your mind, that's how you looked at it. It certainly doesn't need to be anymore, to the same extent anyway. So I like that. Considerations versus barriers is that's something
it changes your mindset immediately, doesn't it? It comes from a proactive, positive, strength-based approach, rather than looking at the sort of, I guess, the vulnerabilities so much. Yeah. So let's get to the nitty-gritty now. Let's talk about eligibility.
Yes.
Eligibility. So to be eligible in the program, as Rod mentioned at the beginning, being an unpaid carer, so not a support worker that is being paid to support. It's an unpaid carer in terms of family, friend.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that you can't be on a carer's payment. We usually use the words unpaid so that we're taking away from the support worker zone.
Right,
so,
okay.
That's been a question that I've been asked quite a lot, but saying, oh, well, no, I actually do get paid to be a carer, but that's not what we mean when we say unpaid.
It's not a wage. It's not a salary to be a carer.
Not a salary. Yeah, that's a better word. Good one. So you can also have been a carer up to 2 years prior to this point as well. So if your caring responsibilities are finished or relaxed, and you're still in that zone where you're looking at making some time for yourself and doing the next step in your sort of journey, then that is what we can sort of pop you onto the program if you're still outside of the 2-year mark as well. So and a lot of people say, well, I'm actually already working. I work, an hour here and an hour there and an hour on a Sunday. You can be unemployed or underemployed, and that's basically the definition of unemployed. If you're having sporadic, non-regular hours and you would like more hours, you most certainly can pop onto the program as well, and we can facilitate that and try and help you achieve more hours, getting more income. And if that's the plan that you're looking for, we most certainly can as well. So it's nice and vast. The eligibility isn't nitty-gritty or scary in any sense. You will have a nice conversation with a lady who will check all of the eligibility, and again, it's a really safe space. There's nothing that's there's no big hammers at the end in any stretch. It'll just be to make sure that you have been a carer, or you've been a carer in the last 2 years, and you meet the underemployed or not employed at all. So that's basically all there is.
Right. So we're talking, and this program is available, as we said, is Queensland, South Australia and Tasmania, but everybody goes through the same contact channel. Is that correct? Is this the next steps for those who are either joining us live or are watching the replay afterwards? If this conversation has really sparked and they're thinking, oh, maybe now is the best time to reach out, then everyone comes through this central channel. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. Super easy. We have a website where you can pop on the front page. There's a big grey button down the bottom that says refer carer. Click on that.
Yep,
fill out the details.
That one there. Yep. Okay.
And that's even if you're referring, that's self-referral too? Yep.
Yeah, anyone. Yep, exactly right.
Yep.
So the details can be popped onto our website. It will go directly through to our eligibility coach, who will give you a call. You can call yourself through the 1300 number or send us an email. So it all goes to the same place. It's all really, really super easy. And if for any reason the time that we are calling doesn't suit, we can most certainly make another time that's suitable. And
perfect. And so, Charnea, if someone rings and says, I just want to meet with someone and talk with someone, how do you do the meetings? Can you set them up with Zoom? Can you, if people want to meet face-to-face, do they have that option?
Face-to-face, yeah, we can do face-to-face.
We can do that. Often it'll be if somebody's expressed an interest in the program, they want to find out a bit more.
Yep.
We try and get in on the road as much as we can. So if we just go through those first couple of little steps to make sure they do qualify.
Yep.
We'll go out there and have a cup of tea with them. Well, actually, I'll have a coffee. Charnea will have a tea. And we'll just have a chat and see how it works out. And often we're going out and we're engaging with community agencies and going to every function we can possibly think of.
Yeah.
And often then that's the opportunity to sit down and have a chat, you know, and you can tell a few more things, a few more stories, share some more information, personalise it as much as we possibly can, individualise it as much as we possibly can, and come on in. You know?
Yeah, it sounds super easy to register for, just even registering your interest as a starting point too, and certainly a shout out sort of from our end from Plan Tracker is that we work with a lot of support coordinators and a lot of providers as well, and so this is the sort of thing where, you know, if there's any support coordinators or providers, you know, watching this either now or later on, you know, this is something to share with your carers, and I know that that's not, you know, distinctly your focus is participants, and so you put off that added service value, but you know, this is something that so many carers would benefit from, and you know, I know it's not something that's in the role, but you know, this is where you're adding value to your families and adding value to the lives of your families. So share away, because it looks so easy to refer to.
It is a free service as well, so you know, there is no cost involved, and it is very easy to refer. And just on the side of if you are within the disability employment sector, you know, like you said, Nick, it is a way that you can make an impact on the entire family network that you're working with, because in most parts, if you are working in the disability employment sector, you have contact with the mums, the dads, the uncles, the brothers, who are their carers. So it can be a big gold star, because it is something that you can help on both sides of things. That's a great activity.
Yeah, absolutely.
We just received a comment in live chat from Ash. She says, this is amazing and just what I need, sign me up. And then she also, which I knew we were going to get to, her next comment was, what about Victoria? So my approach with our community, guys, was for those in states other than Queensland, South Australia and Tasmania, I was going to refer them to their state-based caring organisations to talk about what other services might be available. But I think you've sparked people's interest and appetite for this, so hopefully the demand will spread to other states.
Great. That's what we're hoping for as well.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, excellent. So I noticed that a few individuals have messaged me after listening to the testimonial that I shared on the YouTube video from your channel, from a mum, Hamish's mum, that's right, who shared her experience there too. So those who are watching us live or watching the replay, I really do encourage you to reach out to Your Caring Way and make that first step by calling or dropping an email, and then starting that conversation. Remember that it is a conversation. There's no initial commitment. There's no promises here. You are just taking that first step of considering your situation and what would be the steps forward from there. So this is your main contact details, and I think we've pretty much answered the key points around the program. Is there anything else, Rod and Charnea, that you'd like to add before we wrap up with our audience?
I'd like to add one little thing, and that is that just because we're Your Caring Way, which is part of Carers Queensland, of course. So just because we're part of Carers Queensland doesn't mean that we steer people or guide people or only make training or further education in the support worker scope. We have affiliations with TAFE Queensland, TAFE in South Australia and Tasmania. We have RTOs that deliver programs other than the support or individual support or community service type fields, GT and strategics. So don't think that we're only going to be making things available to you to stay in the support or the carer's role. It's whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
We've found people and put them through courses in bookkeeping. We had a lady in South Australia who got her HR licence, and now she's out driving a truck. We have people that are medical receptionists that are employed, heaps of volunteer work in fields where they've expressed some interest but have no experience with. So we've got them out doing volunteer work and they're loving every second of it, and that's going to go on their resume to lead them. So we don't pigeonhole people. That's not the plan. It's what your plan is and what your ideas are. We will pursue them as far as we possibly can.
That's brilliant. And you know what I really like about that too is that, you know, when you look at a lot of the workplace placement roles in job service providers and things like that, one of their things is that they're so driven to get an outcome, they'll often just put you in a role to say, well, there's an outcome, there you go. Whereas with this program is really about, forget about that outcome for a second. What outcome do you want? I'm not just going to put you in anything. So the fact that you really tailor that approach, it's such a tailored approach, so that I think it's, you know, will make people interested. I think it's a great program, and yeah, I'm excited to start sharing this with our carers in our community, and also to start pushing providers and support coordinators to say, this is such an easy thing for you to refer on, and look at the result you could get from it. So it's fantastic, guys.
Yeah. So just on that note, to our Plan Tracker community who are joining us, remember that Nick and I are always here to have these discussions. If it sort of sparked in you a few different thoughts and ideas, and you're wondering about community connections, remember that we're always here to have those conversations. Yes, we're definitely focused on plan management and really great plan management to support your NDIS journey, but these conversations dovetail into that so well. And so importantly, and that's really our jam, isn't it, Nick?
Absolutely,
it's our jam.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm going to pop all the links and details in the chat box below for everyone who's watching it after. You'll see all those references there, and then this recording will appear on our YouTube channel within 7 days. So I just want to wrap up by saying a really huge thank you to Ron and Charnea. Thank you so much for being willing to have the chat and to talk about, you know, this program with our community. I'm really starting to see what a huge value it is that it's so individualized and so focused on that coaching idea as it moves along, because I can see that it really opens up enormous possibilities or opportunities. Is there any closing remarks that you'd like to share with the community before we wrap up?
Well, to me, well, just thank you. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to be able to talk about this program in such an open forum. It, like we mentioned at the start, knowledge is power, and to get the word out there, to maybe make a positive impact on somebody's life is what we're all here for, is why we're all getting up early and coming into the office to do every day. We're having these conversations and getting out on the road and talking to people to make a positive impact on our life, on someone's life, and makes me sleep really good at night being out. So thank you very much, and thank you to everyone for coming along and listening. It's been great.
Yeah, it's great. All right, community, wherever you are in Australia, we hope that you are safe and well supported. And remember, you can always reach out to any of us at any time, and we'll see you soon.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.